I guess we found out that we're both into gardening. Your sister and I, we grew up in a village in southern China where um, you know everything just uh, grew well. And I never thought that I could grow anything right here in the middle of Los Angeles. And we live in a condo. So last year, it's just last winter, when vegetables suddenly got very expensive. And I bought some seeds from vendors, and I just for curiosity, I got like some kale seeds. So I grew all of them, but my Asian vegetables didn't do too well. But you know what did really well? The kale did really well. So I have Lacinato or dinosaur kale. They go like they're very productive. I also have two kinds of the Siberian kale and red Russian kale. Those did really well in the winter.
The kales started off very slowly. I started red Russian kale and Lacinato kale from seeds. 3 weeks later, they were still very tiny, but I transplanted them into grow bags anyway. I made mixed bags because I knew that they would grow to different heights. The red Russian kale would stay closer to the ground, and the Lacinato kale would eventually grow taller. So they would eventually occupy different space. Once the kales got a foothold, they grew pretty fast. I had extra red Russian kale seedlings that I didn't have the heart to toss out, so I made one extra bag to accommodate them. It would still take almost another month before I could harvest the kales. The red Russian kale seemed to do better in the cold weather than the Lacinato kale. From late December throughout January, the weather was pretty cold, and I got on average one harvest per week. I must confess that I actually never liked kale until I started growing my own, and it was so good. I was a convert. Once we got out of the month of January, the so-called cold month, thanks to the sunshine and weather of Southern California, I was harvesting kales 2-3 times a week. Someone, I won't name names, someone eventually learned to make mean batches of garlic sauteed kales. They were so good that a lot of times we just have rice with garlic sauteed kales with nothing else. We also started giving away some kales because we weren't keeping up. Luckily, people seem to like our kales, so having too much kale was not a problem. I love my kales so much so that I started looking at what other kales could I grow, and I was fascinated by this kale called Siberian kale. That Siberian kale is even more vigorous than the red Russian kale and the Lacinato kale. Now I have Lacinato kale, Siberian kale, and still the red Russian kale in my kale rotation. Starting sometime in March, I think, we would have these mini heat waves when the temperature would go up to 80s and sometimes 90s for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days in a stretch. What I did was to harvest as much of the kales as I could ahead of the heat wave. And of course, every time I did that, I had to ask people nicely, hey, you like some kale? I got some kales. It's now mid-May. I have taken out the red Russian kales because they started to get powdery mildew and they started to taste a little bit bitter. But the Lacinato kale still producing. The Siberian kale is still producing and they still taste pretty good. I will see how long they last and enjoy them as much as I could.
Everything is on like elevated from the surface. And it's funny that these green shelves, scaffolds, they are from a restaurant supply, online retailers.
Oh, yeah.
And so what's nice is that they're supposed to be moisture resistant.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, and they're not expensive. Not that expensive. It got expensive last year, but I think the price came back down.
I've also planted some salad that's meant for colder weather. I think they're Siberian variety as well. There's corn salad and Amish salad, which are both pretty cold resistant. But so far they haven't been growing either, so I don't know.
Okay.
I do have this rocket salad that's doing pretty well, I guess. Yeah.
Oh.
It has bloomed. Yeah.
Oh.
So
it has bloomed. What do you mean?
yeah.
Oh,
It started blooming actually back in March or April. This is the garlic. I think you have some garlic too.
Yes,
right?
I've been eating them, so it's really a great deal. I figured,
Oh,
yeah, you just get buy a head of garlic, which is about
yeah.
50 cents, and then you
Yeah.
get a bundle every time. That's good enough to stir fry with some meat, and you get you can cut you can get several harvests before they tire out.
Oh, I read somewhere that you can grow garlic by the water method. Is that what you call it? The yeah, you just dip it in water and it'll grow.
I know that's what they show online, like a lot of videos online that show you how to do it, but
yeah, they seem so easy.
it's kind of messy for me. First of all, you have to change water like every day, otherwise there will be bacterial growth.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then you have to have like pretty good lighting, otherwise the plants are not going to be very healthy.
Yeah.
So I would say if you have outdoors, just a little bit of soil outdoors, light, just put it there and forget it, and just water it every once a day. Yeah. And they don't mind the cold that much. I think it's
right. Yeah.
It's a winter vegetable. So yeah, and the key is to grow a lot of them.